mainly game management administration or also the local hunters, and or is it just the decision makers?
This is like the workshop number 1 from this Latvian Estonian MooseBelt seminar, and right now today is here only this who is management this project.
Yep.
Nii, Tõnis Korts on ka kohal. Häält ei ole.
Sul on see maa, see mikrofon.
Nii, tere, nüüd on kuulda.
Yeah.
Morning, Ahmet.
Good morning.
Labrit.
Mul on hästi, et mul on see jahindusnõukogu koosolek ka kell 10 hakkab. Ma ütlen siin, et mingisugused avasõnad ära ja siis ma liitun nendega seal vahepeal ja siis tulen pärast tagasi.
Hendrik, vaata, Tõnis on uus Ida-Virumaa juht vist, ta on Ida-Virumaa särk.
Ja sa oled head tööd teinud.
Võimuvahetus on vaata.
Nii, ega siin midagi, nagu kell 10 kukub, siis hakkame peale.
Ma olen küll.
Ja kogu moos.
Jarko, are you can sharing this your presentation?
Excuse me?
Can you share your presentation or I must to put it?
I try. So are we going to take it first as a starting point for the discussions, or what would be the time schedule?
As long as it takes.
Yeah, as long as it takes. You are free fall to make presentation and make the coffee break like this, if you need it.
Yeah, I don't think I need it. So it's interesting to hear your opinions and have some discussions, and then we can have a coffee a little bit later on. But I try to share it now. Let's see if this works.
It works, Jarko.
Okay.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Let's start then. Jarko, you're ready?
Yep.
Okay.
And you are seeing it really well, so it is big enough for your screens.
Yeah, we see that.
It is.
Okay,
let's start then. My name is Hendrik Raun, and I am the Estonian Hunters Association coordinator for the Estonian side of the MooseBelt project. Welcome everyone to the Estonian Latvian MooseBelt seminar, and a special thank you to Jarko Nurmi from the Finnish Wildlife Agency for the kindly agreeing to give us this presentation. Originally, the plan was to hold the seminar like a workshop number 1 organized by EJS and Latma in person in Pärnu. However, to the very busy schedule of the specialists involved, we agreed that the seminar could also be held online. The arrangement was also coordinated with the Estonian-Latvian program consultant. I hope everyone has also received the agenda and the list of topics to be covered. However, we will also record the seminar for the future. Just one practical question before we begin to Jarko. If anyone has a question during the presentation, should we raise our hand and ask it as it comes up, or would you prefer to have a question and answer session at the end of each section? What do you think?
I think it's the best that if you can raise up the question during my presentation, so it's connected to the matter I'm talking about. So it's maybe easier that way. But I can't see your hand, so you just raise your voice and make a question. That would be maybe the easiest way.
Okay. Thanks. Then that's agreed as well.
Okay.
And any more question? Okay, then I hope we will have an interesting and productive seminar today. Thank you all for joining us, and I wish everyone a very successful day.
Okay, shall I start immediately?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well. Hi everyone. Thank you for the possibility to join you in this interesting topic. And my name is Jarkko Nurmi, and I'm Head of Sustainable Wildlife Management in the Finnish Wildlife Agency, which some of you might remember. About 15 years ago, we were still called Hunter Central Organization, and then we have a change in game management administration, and we became Wildlife Agency, Finnish Wildlife Agency, and now we have a sort of a process organization. We still have our county and county routes and also routes on the municipality level, but this process organization gives maybe better chance to steer the wildlife management in every region, so that we can have some more common guidelines and to guarantee that every wildlife management area of our organization is working towards the same goals. So that's enough for our organization. I will shortly present the near history of the Finnish moose population and try to paint a picture how we do manage it. And I hope that you saw that the slide was changing. Can you comment if it changed?
Yeah, it changed.
Yeah,
it changed.
Okay, it works. Thank you.
Good.
So here you can see some statistics about the Finnish moose population. You see that the population was very low in the beginning of the century. It was nearly extinct. So there might have been some 50 to 100 mooses left in the beginning of century, and then it started slowly rising up. And because we have to pay our war debts to the Russia, we had a very effective forestry which started to have effect on the 60s and 70s, and that mainly gave opportunity for the moose population to rise because they were having more winter food in our forest. That means that our forests were getting younger and there were plenty of these new plantations to eat during winter time. So that is the basic reason for the quick start in the 60s and 70s for moose population to rise. but still the moose is the peak has been long gone now, but still the moose is most important game species in Finland, and it's very connected to our rural life in the countryside, because in many of the rural areas the hunting club is the only club existing in the village, so it's still in our roots and some sort of a heritage of ours. And here is some newer statistics. The population was quite high in the 25-26 years ago, in the beginning of 2000. So that caused quite strong social pressure to reduce the population, and it's nowadays it's only half of the peak in the year of 2000, the moose population in Finland. We had a lot of forest damage, and also the traffic collisions with the moose were rising rapidly, and worst year at worst year 12 people were also killed in collisions. So that started a sort of a public discussion on the moose population sides, and we in the game management administration had to react, and hunters had to cut down the population, and now it's only half of the population we had in the beginning of 2000. This is a winter stock, and you can also see the annual harvest rate in that statistic. And then Finnish Wildlife Agency is I would say that we are some kind of a part of the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry, though we are an independent organization, but they will tell us what to do, what goals to achieve, and I don't know the English word, but in Finnish it would be that he tulosohjaavat meitä. So they tell every year for us what results we should achieve and what actions we should have. Though we have a possibility to carry out and plan those actions ourselves, but on the upper level tell they us what to do. So this was our first management plan done in the Finnish Wildlife Agency. It was a management plan for the moose. It was for the moose, and before, when we were Hunters Central Organizations, it was so that the ministry was responsible for these action plans. But nowadays, it's one of the most important tasks for Finnish Wildlife Agency is making and carrying out these management plans and preparing them. And overall, our goal for this management plan was to have more stable moose population, because, like I said before, when we were in the Hunter Central Organization, we had 15 different game management areas that were working in the county level in Finland, and they each had pretty much their own systems how to manage population, and one of the main reasons for starting this new organization, Finnish Wildlife Agency, was basically to build up a system that could steer also this county level administration, so that we would have a stable and productive and much more stable moose population, and we would still have the same goals, because it could happen sometimes that we had very different goals for the moose populations in these different areas, and also you couldn't reach the goal on the national level because of the different tactics on the county level. So there were most important thing was to define a new moose management areas. I will tell you a little bit more of them later, and then it was also very much needed that we should build a better involving for the stakeholders, and maybe to guarantee that also the great public would see that we are acting responsible in moose population management, not just filling our freezers with moose meat. And then it was a digital era coming, and we wanted also to build a app which would take away the paperwork which was before involved in the moose management. And I will tell also about this app a little bit later. And here you can see our moose management areas. So basically we wanted to have each of these moose management areas could have 100 hunting clubs or something like that. And like I said, the problem before was that they could have different goals and different tactics how to achieve them. And with this moose management system, we wanted to have a larger area in which every hunting club would follow the same goals and use the same data and not their own data, and so that we could have much more predictable moose harvest and also the whole moose population. So you know that if you have been visiting in Finland, we have a lot of fenced roads, motorways, so that they can cut also the moose movements, because in Finland the moose have that kind of a habit that if the winter is quite severe, they start to wander inlands from the coastal areas. So there is a lot of more forest there, and that is usually happening not every year, because we have had now milder winters than in the 80s, for example, but you can still see this kind of movement in January. And we wanted to build a system that the whole moose's whole year cycle would be covered within these areas. We tried to find that kind of a natural moose areas. So it would cover the breeding season and also the wintering season in the same management area. And we did this 13 years ago, and we involved all the hunters, all the moose hunters in doing this, because you need the local information, and of course we did preparing work from the maps and so on, but we also had every hunting club and game management association in Finland connected to this work, so it would also match the local wisdom and data and knowledge about their movements. And we have, like I said, we still have our county routes in the rural areas and also in municipalities, and here you can see the goals for and regional targets for the moose population levels that would be animals, individuals per 1,000 hectares after hunting seasons. And here you can see the goal for every moose management areas. And we have that kind of in every county and every game management area of the Finnish Wildlife Agency, we have a county board which consists mainly of the people, hunters that are chosen by local hunters democratically, and then we have authorities from forestry, environment, and traffic sectors to guarantee that we discuss also these targets with the rest of the society. And then there are also some nature organizations and hunters organization, Finnish Association for Hunters. So we have been setting these targets with for 3 years, and every time it happens with common discussions with the stakeholders. And they decide for a period of 3 years what would be these regional targets for population density and also for the moose population structure. So how many cows and bulls, what would be the ratio of them, and also we should have some kind of a good proportion of calves that would remain in the population to guarantee the newer generations and their structure too. So, and these goals vary quite much. As you can see, the northern Finland, it's very low level there, per 1,000 hectares. And then if you look at the southern coast and maybe southwestern coast, the densities and the goal for the density is much more higher there. And it's a little bit surprising because we have all the roads in the southern Finland. There's much more traffic there, much more people living there, but still we can hold much more mooses down there compared to the northern Finland. So that's because of the forestry. Maybe I think that the middle of Finland and northern Finland, they are the main producers of our forestry and wood and products, and so they will be watching quite heavily on the forestry's interest that the moose population would be not so high that it can cause severe problems to the forestry. So the goals vary really quite much in Finland for the moose management areas. And here you can have the moose sex ratio. I would say that if you want to produce mooses as much as possible, this figure should be around 2. But maybe it's more natural level for the moose population would be around a little bit more than 1, because we know that the mortality of the bulls is higher for the bulls, and also that means that we get when they are breeding, we get more bull calves than cow calves. But I would say that around this 1.7 cows per bulls, that would be or could be quite ideal. But you could produce more mooses. Excuse me? Do you have a question?
I think someone has this
microphone
in.
Okay, so it's not a question. But like I said, if you want to produce many mooses, you should have this sex ratio around 2. But then you could be able to more calves and harvest each year more calves. It's the most productive population, and here around it's in almost in every area that the amount of calves in the population should be after harvest season should be around 20 to 30%. So
Jarko,
Yep.
you name it that 1.7 cows must be in one bulls, yes?
yes,
Okay.
that would be the ideal situation, and like you see in the map, it's the goal for almost every moose management area. So there is no not very much variation in this number, but maybe before, when we had this moose explosion, we caused it by ourselves by saving the almost every cow. We didn't shoot. We shot in the 70s. We shot only bulls. So that would guarantee that the amount of cows would rise and rise and rise, and that caused the population. Now we are always recommending that you should shoot about maybe shoot about 53% of bulls of the adult population, and then the amount of the calf harvest should exceed 50%, maybe 50 to 60 would be optimal. So that guarantees stable production in the population, and its products also many moose. But the explosion in the 70s and 80s was caused by saving nearly all the cows in the population. And we also, that time we had a very low calf harvest, and that would guarantee that you would have those 1-year-olds that get separated from the cow in the July, running all around and causing traffic accidents, because they tend to move quite much when they are detaching from their mothers, so to say. So that was a learning lesson for us, and now we have a much more stable moose population after that. And
Jarko,
yep.
Do you see the chat or not?
I don't see it. I don't see
Okay.
it. So maybe you can read it and raise the question if needed.
Okay, I read. The March is asking, how do you evaluate sex ratio in the nature? What kind of information is used for that?
I'm coming to that. So I will basically say now that we had this digital app, and then every moose hunting club in Finland is using that digital app after every hunting day. So we deliver this information. So the system is so that we have a Natural Resources Institute in Finland. They are the researchers, and we in the Wildlife Agency, we have been building up this system so that the hunters only gather the information for the researchers, and then it's independent institute who is giving out the population estimates. So the hunters are not trying to be researchers. They just collect the information and deliver it to the researchers, who then make out the population estimate after the hunt. And we use this digital app so that every hunting club fills up the information after every hunting day. So it goes without the paperwork, and it's based on the observations in the field. So how many moose they see per day, how many moose they shoot per day, what kind of a moose they saw. Was it cow with 2 calves or lonely cow? How big was the bull? They deliver this information during the harvest season on a daily basis to the researchers by this app. So, but I will be explaining this a little bit more later on. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks. And like I said, it's the independent research institute who is doing these population estimates, and here you can see that we had a little bit under 90,000 moose during last season, and we have now a population that is slightly on the rise again, and here in the middle map you can see the moose density, which is also again animals per 1,000 hectares after hunting season. So as you can see, it's the population is much a little bit denser in the southern Finland and in southwestern Finland, and also in the western Finland compared to the eastern Finland. If you look at this eastern border, the moose population is quite low there, and we like to say that they are in the predator trap. We have not been able to hunt our brown bear population for 3 years, and also in the eastern Finland there have been historically quite strong wolf population and also a lot of hunting pressure. So I mean by the term predator trap, I mean that there are so many predators, natural predators, brown bears and wolves, that they take away the productivity of the moose. That is our main problem in the moose management right now. And if you have these predators, because that can cause a situation that you cannot hunt the population. There are a lot of hunting associations, hunting clubs that won't be getting any moose licenses this year. So that's the predator trap, and it's working down there in the eastern Finland. And they have also been having the habit that they set the population, moose population targets lower than people in the hunters in the western Finland or southern Finland. And that means that if you have a low target level and you have plenty of the natural predators, you cannot shoot so many mooses. And here you can see also on the picture on the right side, we also every year want to see that are these population targets being met, which are set together on the county level in our management areas. And if you see a green area, that means that it's inside the goals, the lower level and the upper level of the goal. And if you see brown there, brown color, that means that the moose population is 10 to 20% higher than the set limit would be, the upper limit of the target. And if you see the red area, that means that in these areas the moose population is plus 20 or more higher than the set upper limit for the target. So basically almost green is the most common color here, so everything well, but some problems in the southeastern Finland. So they have much more moose population than they have themselves been setting the target. And here you can also see the current sex ratio and percentage of calves in the middle. So I think that this is quite optimal. And this is also on the right side. This is a very important and interesting data, which all this data is produced by researchers, by the Natural Resource Institute of Finland. Like I said, the hunters just gather the observation and information and deliver it to the researchers. And one of the figures they always look at is that what is the calf production rate? How many calves by 100 cows, based on the observation the hunters are doing in the field. So you can see that the area I was talking about in the eastern Finland, you can see that the calf production rate is very low compared, for example, in the western Finland, where it could be about 95 calves per 100 cows, compared to the eastern Finland's of a little bit over 50%. So that is the predator trap, and it also visible in these maps that the researchers are preparing every year. And these figures are the base for our management and the decision making. Do you want to hear something about the white-tailed deer, or shall we concentrate purely on the moose?
You can tell.
I can tell, yeah, because it's quite important factor also regarding the balance between the hoofed game and the large predators like the wolf. Because the main area for the white-tailed deer in Finland is the southwestern Finland. It's not native species. It was brought here from Minnesota at 60s, at 30s, and then it was slowly expanding, and the population got higher. It started only from 6 individuals. 6 individuals were brought in 30s, and it started. So that there is a now. It was a little bit surprise for us, because we know that it was only 6 individuals which were the base for the whole population, and we tried to analyze, or the researchers tried to analyze the genetics of the population, and genetics were very good. So though it started from the 6 individuals, there were no problems with the genetic variation in the white-tailed deer population. This was done by DNA analytics, and it was a surprise that from 6 individuals you can build up a good population which is also healthy. So it's like you see in the statistics. Yep.
Nu, kā tev izskatās ar šitiem devu, ko es tev sasūtīju, kaut ko skaties, neskaties?
Can someone try to?
It's not what was the questions. I think it's the microphone is in.
Okay. It was again microphone.
Yeah, again.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But deer became quite important game species, and I would say it's now very important game species from also our point of view, because it lives in the same areas where you have the Finnish population is now concentrating to the southwestern and southern Finland. So if we want to have hunters in the future, we have to take care of the white-tailed deer. So because it lives in the same area where the Finnish population is now concentrating on, and it's very important game species from in the middle of Finland and in northern Finland, eastern Finland. the most important game species is moose, but in the south and southwestern Finland, the most important game species is the white-tailed deer. So if you want to have hunters also in the future, we have to see that we won't destroy our white-tailed deer population. But like I said, this also, like in the moose in the 70s and 80s, the rise of the population caused problems in the collisions and so on. White-tailed deer is not doing that much damage for the forestry, but collision rate can be very high. So we had exactly same situation than with the moose in the 80s, that the population was causing problems, and also the public started to react, and that would build up a social pressure, and it started to get stronger somewhere around about 15 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, and we have had the only option for us was to start to cut down the population level, which you can see in the statistic. And this rise of the white-tailed deer population was caused exactly same way that the moose population rise was caused, by saving and not shooting the female deer. They were saved. But now when we wanted to have this kind of cut down a population to lower level, the first thing we wanted to do is add up with the female harvest, and it worked quite well, and there is a lot of work to do, because the white-tailed deer population can grow more rapidly than the moose population. And here you can see our current deer population, white-tailed deer population. The figures can be quite high in the southwestern Finland, especially if you remember that our moose population were about 3 to 5 individuals, and now regarding white-tailed deer, it's much more. It can be these are also the combined numbers and for the moose management areas, but at the some part of the moose management area, the figures can rise even up to 60-70 animals per 1,000 hectares. So and then, like I said, this is a well-planned game between the hunters, administration, and researchers. Here you can have some statistic from Luke, which means that it's this Natural Resource Institute of Finland, which I'm talking about. These are the researchers who make up the population estimates based on hunters' observations. And like I said before, we had a situation that these county levels administrations who were independent would maybe use their own statistic. We couldn't guarantee that they use this researchers produced material for the harvest planning. But nowadays it's always so that this research institute offers a moose harvest calculator, which imports the latest stock assessment data based on the region selected, so that you have to use this research information. You cannot use your own information. So that is basically to guarantee that everyone is using the official information done and made up by the researchers. So this is a quite good achievement that we can, and in the administration, when we have the license applications in, we always can be sure and secure that they are using the official information based on moose population. So that is also a good system to guarantee that you are not using your own made-up numbers, but we try to produce so good information that is possible from the field observations by the researchers. And here are the hunting times for moose. And when we made this moose management plan, there were a lot of discussions at that should we hunt moose during the rut time, and the rutting season for the moose is mainly in the end of September, and you can see from the slide that we wanted in northern Finland, we wanted to guarantee that they have a safe rutting season. They are not shot during the rutting season. They can produce because you get the winter a lot more earlier there, and it can become 1 meter of snow also already in October, so they must have a earlier hunting season. But we wanted to guarantee that they have also taken rut in peace and produce new mooses in peace. So it's two-sided, this hunting season. And in southern and central Finland, hunting season starts after the rutting season. So it's possible also, if you have problems with agriculture, it's always possible to shoot moose in fields from the beginning of September, except in Lapland, but it's not commonly used because our moose season in southern and central Finland, it starts in the middle of October, and there are not so severe agriculture damage that hunters would use this possibility to hunt them already in September from the fields. So you have to report mandatory. It's mandatory catch reporting to Wildlife Agency. Observation is done reporting voluntarily, but I think the percent of hunting clubs producing this information would be around 95%, 96% of the hunting clubs are doing this observation reporting voluntarily. So it's quite good figures, and it's quite safe to make assumptions for the population from this data. And here are the hunting permit fees for fallen animal, shot animal mentioned. And then it's the Finnish Wildlife Agency who handles and gives out the moose licenses. Of course, this whole process is based on the information gathered from the field and done by the researchers. So it is quite good system in that way, and also we can in the agency we produce the number of animals that can be shot in the license, and also at some cases we could produce also regulation for the how many calves and adult animals were to be shot, but this is something we don't want to use very much, because we try to educate the hunters so that they would be able to make their own decisions in the field. At some year you can have much more calves in your area, somewhere you can some year you can have very much bulls in your area, and we want to educate hunting clubs to do this during the hunting season. So we mainly regulate only the number of animals, how many animals can be shot, and then we try try to educate the hunters so that they can make their own decision, because it's not, it could be little, though we have a very good data on the moose population, it could be very difficult to be so wise in this office that you would know already in summer exactly at that how many calves should or adults should this hunting club shoot. It's much more wiser maybe to leave the decision for themselves, because they see a different situation every year in their own hunting territory. So we just try to educate them what are the means for the sustainable population, harvest, and so on. So we don't want to control them too much. It's only the number of animals that would be shot. And like I said, we have this application Oma Riista, which means my game or my hunt. I think the new name would be My Hunt app. This is a little bit older slide, and it is My Hunt app that you have hunting diary. You can make observations there. You can have harvest reporting there. Like I said, they write in this app every observation they may make about the moose in their area after every hunting day. And then you have all your information in that. We can also send a messages directly to the every hunter or hunting club leaders by using this app. And also every reporting for large game happens with this app. Before we had a system that we had like I said, the population estimates are done by researchers, and they are based on observation made on the field, hunters made on field. And before we had a system, before this app, we had a system that it was, of course, in the paper. You would start filling up the paper, and when the hunting season was done, you would take the paper and post it to the institute, research institute. And then again, the people, researchers, would take the 5 meters high paper stack and start putting the numbers on the computers. And it took a really lot of time. And we could have then, in the paper time, we would have the situation that the information and the population estimate came only in July, and you have to leave the application in the end of April. So we could not use this data, but when we were in the paper system. But now the paper stacks are gone, and this information flows freely after every hunting day. So the researchers can, and we in the game administration can see the data all the time. So this is very effective way, and we have been trying it. This app is built by the Finnish Wildlife Agency, but it's a free source code. So I know some European countries have taken this free source code and been starting and building up their own game management applications. So that's a very clever system, and also you have the Moose applications in April in the system by using just this app, because there is a map programming in the system and in the app, so you don't have to send paper cards to game management area. You just use this app and make a application there, and so it all is in electrical form. So it's much more easier. We had these paper stacks also in the game management areas before, but not nowadays. It's all in the system. And here you can see it is, of course, when we did this Moose management plan 15 years ago, we started to have these digital ideas back then, but it was not so, it was much more simpler. But this digital revolution started so fast that this became much more efficient system than we have we had been able to thought in the beginning. So now, like I said, this data flows freely after every hunting day, and then we can see this kind of heat maps. Where are the moose observations? How many of observations are? So we can see the areas that where the moose are concentrated, and then during also the hunting season, we can look all this information, heat maps, how many calves, how many mooses, and we can also give out some recommendations, and this area you should shoot more calves, or you should shoot more females, because these observations tell us the whole story. So this is also that kind of information that the hunters can see. They can see larger situation, not only their own hunting area. They can also see in the research institutes, internet websites, they can see that what is the moose situation in our neighboring hunting clubs also, and then they can that way our administration can see the whole picture of the moose population already during the hunting season, not after half year after, but online all the time, and then it's much more easier to steer the hunting if needed. So we always have after 6 weeks of hunting, we arrange the meetings for the hunters associations, and we show this data, and we discuss what seems to be the situation in the halfway of the hunting season. Should you maybe stop hunting or add up if you are lagging behind compared to the goals you have been setting for the moose population? So this gives very many opportunities to steer the hunting pressure right way in locally, because we can see it all in the maps, what is happening during the hunting. And then also we have been trying to do this so that there is so good feedback for the hunting clubs that they can also see if their hunting is meeting the set targets. Here you can see different years who are coming down to this blue square in the middle. So that means that is your hunting going to meet the set level of moose population during? Are you hunting enough, or are you lagging behind, or maybe shooting too much? If this dropping figures would meet finally in this set blue square, that would tell the hunting club that you are on the right way and you are heading towards the target. So that kind of tells the hunting club quite much if you are interested enough to see your hunting online and follow it up. And we follow this in the game administration. Like I said, that we arrange these meetings for hunters in the middle of the season, and we can see after that everyone is meeting their goals. They are shooting enough. They are shooting that, striving to that goal which is set together with the stakeholders, and this has been a very good method for keeping the moose population much more stable. Before this kind of electrical system, we had a unfortunately the situation that it would vary quite much. So you, after 5 to 10 years, you would have a new peak, and then maybe 5-10 years also the low points of the population. But now it's more stable because we have been able to use this electrical information. So, and then also we can gather with the system, we gather data, how are the mooses being hunted, is it dog or bassline, or are you having a driven hunt, and so on. So you can build up this system so that you would be able to gather all the data you in the game administration or in the research site would need. So maybe you would have a different information for Estonian and Latvian moose hunting needed. So these are just ideas that we have been using in Finland. But we can gather a lot of information from this digital app. And here are some figures that like I said, that the moose hunting is very important for the Finnish hunters. That can also produce quite much a good quality game meat. And it's maybe one problem in Finland we have, that not a lot of moose or white-tailed deer meat is going to the consumers or in the markets, because the hunting families want to use it themselves. And this might be something in the future, that maybe we should deliver more game meat also to the markets, because it's very valued and respected by the publicity, and it would maybe add up a little bit more on a acceptability of the hunting, if you are able to get and eat game meat, though you would not hunt yourself. And then here you can see some collision figures, or like I said, the Finnish point of view in moose population have been much more damage-based than, for example, in the Sweden. In the Sweden, you maybe should the officials guarantee and the game administration guarantee that you cannot hunt the moose if your population is under 5 individuals per 1,000 hectares. And our goals are set that it would be stable 3 to 4. So the Sweden have been much more accepting the moose much more than in Finland. Like I said, we have a strong forestry, and they are watching their interest in the moose population management, and they want always to have a little bit lower numbers than the hunters would have. But also these collisions are quite severe problem. You can see that maybe the white-tailed deer collisions are quite bad problem because they are concentrated in the southwestern Finland, so it's not the whole Finland. Like for moose, it's these figures are for the whole Finland, but it happens a lot. These collisions in the very limited area of Finland regarding white-tailed deer. So that's the main problem with white-tailed deer. They don't cause the forestry problems, they don't cause agricultural problems so much, but these collisions are a severe problem in the southwestern Finland regarding white-tailed deers. And here you can see we have a system in Finland that we gather up these license fees. And the license fees are used to compensate the damage on the forestry. If you are a forest owner and you have a moose damage which is severe in your, for example, young pine forest, you are allowed to have compensation for that damage, and that kind of we have that kind of system that if you report the damage, there will be representation from the forestry side and the game management side on the local level, which go and estimate the damage sites in the forest, and they also estimate the money value of the damage, and you are able to get the compensation. So we gather in the license fees, and then every year we paid for the agricultural and forestry damage, which must be reported. So you cannot just call somewhere or report somewhere that you have a damage. It must be checked in the field also, that how big is the damage and what is the monetary value of the damage, and then you little bit 1 year's time you can get a compensation. And this is done by collecting the license fees from every moose hunting club in Finland. You pay the fees, and then you are able to get the compensation. And then some words about the large carnivore management in Finland. Like I said, we have not been able to harvest our brown bear population for 3 years now because of the complaints made by the licensees, and I think that we have, and you have had some similar cases, that EU is strictly limiting hunting of these large carnivores under the Hunting Act and the Habitats Directive. So I think that deer and moose population must be harvested in regards to large carnivores. So if it's total ban of the hunting, like I said, maybe you remember the figures I showed you about that, how poor is the moose productivity in eastern Finland. It's mainly caused by very strong brown bear population, which adds up that in the region there are not quite good wolf population also, and they can cause a predator trap for the moose population, that you simply cannot harvest it anymore. They are taking away the whole productivity of the moose population. So, but now we had a moose hunting. We had a wolf hunting. We had a quota system last winter, and it worked very well. And I think that is something we try to develop in the future so that we could match all this deer and moose population management, and it would be matched with large carnivore management. But it has been quite difficult because of these habitats directives and so on. And here you can see how what is happening with our populations. Bear population is going quite high. Also lynxes, we have not been able to harvest lynxes. That affects white-tailed deer populations and roe deer populations, but not in moose populations. Also the wolverine is doing well. Maybe it can have some local meaning for deer populations, but not for moose. It's mainly brown bear and wolf population that are decimating our moose numbers. And we should have some kind of a multi-species management. If you remember the maps I showed you in the eastern Finland, and this challenge becomes very highlighted in low density areas, because it's easy to understand that there are so many predators that they take away the whole productivity of the moose population. There is nothing left for the hunters. And if you have already low population, it takes 10 years. Though you could start with wolf and brown bear hunting, it would take about 5 to 10 years for moose population to recover from that predator trap again. And there is also wolf. They are causing a threat to hunting dogs. Also, I'm sorry that I talk so much about Eastern Finland, but it's so good example what happens when you have a wolf in your area, because it's a low population of moose, but plenty of wolf, and that means that the wolves don't have that much to eat. And then you release your hunting dog, and it comes to the wolf packs area. They kill it. They don't actually want to eat it, but they just kill it because it's a competition. They know that there is a scarce of food for their own hunting pack, wolf pack, and then you have a hunting dog, and they regard hunting dog as a competition. They kill it so that they could guarantee that there is more food to them during the winter. But if you nowadays we have a wolf expansion also in southwestern Finland, in these areas where you have the white-tailed deer, and wolves are not killing hunting dogs there because they have plenty to eat. There is no this competition effect going on. So this is why we need also in this kind of a multi-species management. We know now that if you have a wolf pack living in your area, that would take away 70 mooses during a year. So we always try to incorporate these figures in these harvesting models that are done by the Luke Natural Resource Institute. So they are also producing the information that how many mooses would you lose for brown bears and wolves. So it's we already have this multi-species management done in the harvest planning systems. You can, if you have your moose pack, your wolf pack in the area, the researchers know it where it stands, and then they produce the figures how much moose they are going to eat from your area. And if you have also brown bears in your area, they produce numbers for that estimate too. So that is a quite good And again, one benefit from this free flowing data to electrical systems, and it's good that the researchers are doing also these large carnivore numbers, loss of caused by large carnivores numbers, so that every hunting clubs would not be using their own numbers. It's based on the science always. So in fact, we are trying to build up this multi-species management, which would also pay heed to and then take account on these large carnivores in your own area, in order to build up a better moose management system and population harvest models. And like I said, that before we had this thing that almost every wolf pack, maybe 15 years ago, every wolf pack would be in the eastern border of Finland. But nowadays they are spread so that the most of the wolf packs concentrate in the southwestern area of Finland, where the white-tailed deers are. And like I said, they don't kill hunting dogs there because they have plenty to eat. So maybe the most important lesson from this would be that don't be so damage orientated, afraid of the forestry damages. If you want to have multi-species management, you should allow a little bit higher moose and deer populations in order to prevent damage to the hunting dogs. And make the hunting possible, because now in these areas in the eastern Finland, you won't buy a hunting dog, it would be killed. You are not getting moose licenses. Why should you keep up with your hunting club if you are not getting licenses? The structure of the hunting is destroyed in that area. So it's quite a challenge to keep the moose and deer population in that kind of a level that there would be not so too many collisions, not too many forestry damage, but you should have moose and deer that much that you could hunt them, and it would be wise to have a hunting dog also in the future. So it's not easy puzzle. It's just some kind of a puzzle that you are building up with multi-species management, and it has also meet the demands from the stakeholders and great publicity. So great public. So it's very different tasks, and maybe if everyone is a little bit unsatisfied with your moose management, then it might be done well. If one of the stakeholders is very happy, that maybe would tell that something is wrong with the system. And like I said, we also can look this moose harvest by every region quite accurately and in good time. And like I said, this is the problem in Finland now. So that if moose population is not doing so well, the popularity of hunting dogs will also collapse. And if you are afraid that if you let your trained hunting dog to the forest and there is a wolf pack living in your area, it could kill your dog. So we have seen this situation now that this is a challenge for us, that moose hunting dogs are not so popular. Maybe the hunters want to concentrate on small game. They don't want to see their dog killed by the wolves, or maybe they are not satisfied the level of moose population that you don't have enough use for your hunting dogs. That's the situation in the eastern Finland. And it's the same dogs you use with the brown bear hunting. So maybe if the bear hunting is stopped, that's also a reason for not to buy a moose hunting dog or brown bear. Same dogs can be used with the brown bear hunting. I think that was all in my presentations, and hopefully this was something that you could find your own ideas and make them go further. I just came from the vacation, so I didn't have the time to build this exactly for you, but I hope that this was something that would benefit you, and this was something that you would wanted to hear.
Okay, thank you, Jarko. Does someone has question to Jarko? I'd like to ask Jarko, do you know if you can't tell something about coloring from the moose? You know,
Coloring?
Yes.
So that do you mean that the colors in the different regions would vary?
No, the GPS coloring.
Coloring. I heard coloring. Yeah, sorry. So we had some projects in the research institute, but it's 20 years ago. But I know that they are coloring white-tailed deers now, but I'm not sure if they have any activity for the moose coloring right now. And there is a lot of good subjects that I couldn't touch with this presentation. Many hunting clubs are now having members that have drones, and they use this heat drone to count mooses in wintertime, and that is something that we have just started to research 2 or 3 years ago, and we don't actually have results for that, but that might be a future which would maybe produce better information than this coloring. But we have had some of them coloring projects, but not in the latest years.
Okay, thank you. I get the answer.
But I can.
The drone
I
is
can,
the future.
Yeah, I can maybe I can try to find some report on these earlier coloring projects and send it to Marko.
Okay, thank you. Kalev has raised the hands. Please, Kalev, ask your question.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Yes, I'm Kalev. I wonder, or you are describing the dog problem in Finland with the hunting dogs and with the attacks of wolves on the dogs. So how it actually happens? So does it happen during the hunting trip or when the dog are just running for the training, or it is a little bit difficult to believe that during the hunting trip the wolves can be so bold that they take down their hunting dog. So
yep.
This is my question. Yeah,
it's a very good question, and I know that the ways of hunting are very different in Finland than maybe in Central Europe, and the moose hunting in the forested areas is made in Finland that way that you have these hunters, like you would have a driven game hunting, but the areas are very big. So that maybe you have a chain of hunters in every way, in the forestry way, but the area could be 1,000 or 2,000 hectares, and then you have your hunting dogs in, so that the hunter is not near the dog. The dog can be 1 or 2 kilometers away from the hunters, and when it starts barking, it's like a food bell for the wolves. They come to collect it. And there are some wolf packs that really concentrate on the killing dogs. There are some packs that know that they somehow know that taking a dog would maybe cause them problems. It's very varied in different moose packs. There are some females that can even teach their pack and puppies to take away the hunting dogs, and then there are some wolves that escape from when the hunters come to the area. So it varies very much, but basically main reason in Finnish moose hunting is that the hunter is always quite far away from the hunting dog, so that the wolves won't even know that there are hunters or people in the area. That's the main reason.
Oh yes, I see. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, in chat, March is asked, could you please explain more about very local mooses management? How hunting permissions are shared between hunting clubs? Is it permissions gives for every single hunting club or for the group of hunting clubs? And if there is systems of the hunting clubs groups, who decide area and what size of area?
Yeah, that's also a very good question, because maybe 30 years ago, the main model would be that every hunting club would have their own hunting licenses. But like I said, it's the same problem like with the need of the moose management area. So we need larger areas, and so that all hunters would have the same goal for the harvest. And then, like I said, it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you would only have independent licenses for your own hunting association. But nowadays it's much more common that you gather a group of hunting clubs. For example, you can have 10 to 15 hunting clubs that put their areas together, because in Finland you have to have 1,000 hectares area, which is combined, before you can apply for the licenses. And nowadays it's much more common that 10 to 15 hunting clubs are with the same application. And then we have been producing some kind of written rules for this kind of joint permit, so that they could then based on the license, they could then decide how to start hunting. Maybe if it's this kind of a combined permit, you would have a meeting when you decide that when should we start, and then that which is the proportion of the licenses each and every one of the clubs is getting. When you have some kind of a meeting, maybe in the halfway of the hunting seasons, when you gather the information and discuss that you have some licenses left because it's the hunting leader or the named person who has been given the representation of the hunting clubs and the license is given to him, they discuss if they leave some licenses that are not given out in the beginning, they can have a proportion of licenses waiting this meeting in halfway of the hunting season, and then they decide that you have too much moose there, you can have some extra licenses, and then they can, for example, look out the calf harvest, because the calf harvest is a very good sign if you have a good population in your area. If you are able to maintain the catch structure that you always have 50% of the back are calves, that is a sign that you have a good productive moose population in your area. So it's usually so that in these joint permits, the hunting clubs gather in the halfway of the season, and then they just looked at that. Have you been getting enough calf harvest in your area? If you have fulfilled all these rules that they set together, written rules, then you can have more licenses. And if you see that some clubs area there are no mooses, or you cannot fulfill this calf amount needed, they would not be getting this extra license. But the license are given out from the wildlife agency, and then it's the local representatives within the joint permit who decide how to use it. So it's much more freedom and it's much more cooperation with the joint permit than you would have in your own independent smaller area permit. It's a very good way of working, because they learn all the time, and if they don't have this kind of a responsibility in the local level, they can always say that, oh, it was the wildlife agency's fault. They gave us too little licenses or too many licenses, and now our moose population is bad. But you have to shift this responsibility to the locals, because they are the ones who see what the situation is during the harvest season.
And the extra question was, who put together hunting clubs? Is it volunteer happens or some legal organization decide this area?
Yes, very good question again. In Finland, maybe we have that kind of a system that in the southern Finland, the hunting clubs are based on the villages. So it's the voluntarily basis done in the maybe after the war, Second World War in the 50s, when you would start funding these hunting clubs in the countryside, and it was always the village that the people who were familiar to each other, they put their grounds together and formed a hunting club. So it's done voluntarily in the field, and maybe I would say that in the southern Finland the hunting clubs are smaller, but I live in the middle of Finland, and that means that here or northern Finland the hunting clubs are much bigger, and it would be, for example, the whole municipality, not villages like in the southern Finland. So where I live, we have quite big hunting clubs. For example, the two that I'm in are, another one is 45 12,000 hectares, and then the another one is 35,000 hectares. But like I said, in the southern Finland, these hunting clubs are traditionally much more smaller, but it's always done in the rural countryside, and villages and landowners voluntarily are making up these hunting associations.
Thank you. More questions? Yes, Kalev, please.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know how much we have time, but Jarkko, if you would be able to comment or maybe provide some information about this topic, like the management of the firearms and maintenance services and the licenses for the firearms. Maybe this is not your department, but if you could briefly comment, then I would appreciate.
Thank you. Well, it's in Finland it's that way that you must have a permit to buy a firearm, and you have show a legal purposes for that application, and it always the police force who estimates if you are good person for legally to buy and have and maintain a firearm, and the hunting examine if you have your hunting card, hunting fee that you can show to the police force. That is a legal purpose, and then you can have a license permit from police force to buy a firearm. But if you do something evil, if you are drunken driver or assault maybe your wife or another person at the pub, it's much more, it happens very easily now that the police force will take away your guns, and they must be maintained in a safe at home, and it's always must be quite strong safe where you have your firearms, and it must, I think that if you have over 5 firearms, it must be attached to the wall so that you can take away the whole light safe for the guns. So it's very, in the beginning it would be that you show your hunting license, that you have taken the exam, and then if you have no criminal record, the police will look on you, and then if you have no problems with police, you can get your first gun by showing hunting license, and it adds up if you could also show the police force that you are member of the hunting club. But in Finland, like in most countries, you can also hunt on state-owned lands, so you don't necessarily have to be member of a hunting club. You can always say in the application that you are going to hunt on the state-owned land, and that would be no hinder for your permit. But you start with your hunting license, and then go to the police. That's the most common way. Maybe you can be a member in some shooting association too, but that's the rare thing, because both mainly it's done so that it's the same persons who are hunting and shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank
but
you.
it's very strict. It's very strict. If you, like I said, if you drink and drive, your licenses and guns are taken away by police.
Oh yeah, that is clear.
Tõnis, please.
Yeah, thank you. Jarko, we understand that you recently amended the Hunting Act regarding large carnivores. And could you explain a little bit more closely on this change and what does it involve and how do you expect it to be implemented in practice?
Yes, like I said that we have lost some court cases for the brown bear permits and derogations, but it's now starting again. We had a court decision in the beginning of June that once again gives us the right to continue with derogations on brown bear, but it's very new thing, and we are still in the middle of the period that, for example, some nature conservation group can leave a complaint on those permits, derogations, and then it will be, of course, a new court handling. So we are just waiting in regard for our brown bear licenses. What will happen? Will the court stop them, or will they go on so that we can start hunting in August? But regarding, like I said, that the Habitats Directive for annexes for wolf was changed 2 years ago, 1 year ago, something like that. And in Finland, we reacted immediately. We arranged a quota system for wolf hunting, and it went down very well. So it was the ministry's legislation who gave rights to wildlife agency to have some kind, produce some kind of a numbers that how many wolves would be shot. And then they had a legislation, and then it was done in the wildlife agency. So we took the wolf packs territory maps from the Nature Research Institutes of Finland, and then we made those quota areas based on the wolf packs living area. And if you had a wolf pack in your area, we chose maybe it was 16 wolf packs, and it was 100 individuals which could be shot, and we chose, if there was a 35 or something like that was the number of total number of wolf packs in Finland, we chose 16 of them who were causing problems and damages most, and we concentrating the quota to them, and then it was no paperwork, it was just a quota hunting. We educated the hunters that would have the quota areas, and it went down really well. We shot 80. We had a total quota of 100 wolves, and we shot 84. So there were some areas that didn't have snow, so it didn't work out. But during the first week of quota hunting, which started in the beginning of January, we shot about 75 wolves during the first week, because we get the snowfall just in time before the hunting started. We had a very good snowfall, and of course the hunters on the quota areas, they were following their packs, so with wildlife cameras and so on, so they knew exactly where to hit. So it went down really well, and so far we are planning now, if there would be a court decision that would stop again our brown bear hunting derogations, we are ready to build up quota system for brown bear too. But that is a little bit problematic because the annexes have not changed. That it was quite easy for wolf because the annexes changed and we reacted immediately. But this is a very large large question, and I maybe I would I could send a PowerPoint slideshow to Marko about our wolf quota system.
It would be very nice, yes.
Yeah, great. I will do that. Thanks.
Thank you. Very good job. Very good job. And we are interested. We wait the brown bear hunting. What happens in Finland? It's very interesting.
Great.
Okay, in chat, Flort asked, could you comment on cross-border migration of moose? How do these movements affect population in Finland?
Yes, that is also quite good question, because nowadays we have all kind of fences in our eastern border, so that and we don't get so much information from the Russian side anymore, so we don't really know a lot about that. But I think that there is not so much migration from in the eastern side coming from the Russia, but there is a quite strong movement from the Sweden and Norway in the northern Finland. So we have been trying to build up a research program with Norway in order to see that how powerful is this migration in the northern Finland between Finland and Norway and Sweden, but we have unfortunately not been able to get funding for that. But that will be something we are going to work in future too, and then maybe I could report you about this in later years if we get the funding to do it. So that would be the place in which we would need these colored mooses. But like I said, I don't think it's much more migration between Russia and Finland right now, because the like I said, the moose population is quite low on both sides. There are brown bears and bulls taking care of the moose population, but in the Sweden and Norway, between Sweden, Norway and Finland, there is a lot of movement, and it's a main problem in some parts of northern Finland that it's how would we know that what is the right amount of licenses when you have this movement between different countries. So this cross-border harvest planning is something that we would like to see happening in the northern Finland, but we don't have tools for that yet. Very good question, and that is something that we are trying to work on in future.
Thank you. The Marches give the feedback for you, Jarkko, that thank you, Jarkko. You let us know some very good points what we can do for future moose management in Latvian Estonian project.
Well, thank you. It is very nice being here, and nice to hear some good feedback. And like I said, I just came from the vacation, and maybe we could gather up some more slides, much more profound presentation on these topics. This was just an overall picture, but we also have much more detailed information, and then maybe we can translate that to England and send it to Marko.
Please send to me. Maybe you have, Jarkko, two points, successful and unsuccessful solution from moose management from like Scandinavian countries. Do you have this or not?
So few most successful tools or decisions we have made.
Yeah.
Build up this kind of app, so that you could gather this information during the hunt. I know that you have already something like that going on.
Yeah, both country has.
Yeah.
We have, and even in Latvian they have own app.
Yeah, and start to gather the moose observations from the hunting clubs so that they could very easily send the information what they have seen in forest, and then you have this information online all the time. That is a very good way of working, and then yeah, I don't know if you have these kind of a moose management areas, but I don't know that if your mooses migrate between breeding seasons and winter, but maybe you have some obstacle fences and roads that divide the moose management areas to that kind of a units that you would see maybe some population structures or obstacles that divide the population. Maybe this has been very good system, this moose management definition of moose management areas in Finland, so that each and every hunting club would have their own targets, but you would have a bigger picture and targets for the bigger area, which is consist of the same mooses and same rules would apply to all, and plan that together, arrange meetings so that they meet before the application time and then maybe halfway of the harvest time. Maybe that, and then again this coloring, if you have that kind of a need for that information, it could help you a lot. I don't know about your large carnivore situation, but this another one would be this multi-species management. So it's very difficult, but and then again, you in this maybe you should always have this nature research site and researchers with you, so that you could gather information that what is the meaning of large carnivores existence for your moose population, so that you could gather the information and maybe show it in the maps that in this area you have 50 brown bears living in that area and 2 wolf pack. What would be the effect on the moose population on that area, so that you could manage your moose population regarding to this multi-species action. So that is something that we have a lot to learn in Finland, but it is one of the most important future aspects for us. So it was digital observations and fast delivery of them, then moose management areas and these multi-species actions. That would be the 3 of the most important things I would know. And then we are, of course, if you want to prevent forest damage, we are now looking after that we have a very good repellent for the pine stands. So that would Trico, it's a product called Trico, and we are dealing it to the landowners who have young pine stands, and now it's you can spread it like here in the pine, what is the upper part of the pine when it's growing, and it protects the pine from the moose eating. And we are now looking, it is quite good amount of job to spray it in the pine stands, but we are looking now for the drone spreading, and that would be very effective, but still our legislation won't allow that, but we are trying to little bit develop this legislation so that it would be useful, so that like I said, that the discussion in Finland for moose is quite damage orientated, and we try to find every tool to take down the damage amount, because it also has a lot to do with the moose future, if it's accepted by the forestry or not. So always search for the new solutions for preventing the moose damage. That might be the fourth.
Good answer, Jarkko. But our situation in Estonia is same like you are in Finland. We can't management these large carnivores, and last year it was allowed to hunt wolves, but no bears. And
yeah, hopefully that can go on in future, because it also dictates the moose's future quite much.
Exactly.
All right.
No more questions, or then I think we can end it these sessions today, and I think great thanks to you, Jarkko, and it was, I hope, such a new and good information for everyone, and presentation was very good. Thank you, Jarkko.
Thank you so much for having me, and I will send you some PowerPoint presentations on more detailed subjects, so that you can maybe have your own conference based on them, and trying to figure if it's something more suitable for you and in your moose harvest and management.
Yeah, and I make the summary from these days and from your presentations, and I send everyone and put in our website even.
Thank you very much. So,
Tõnis, do you want to ending these sessions?
Yeah, hope to see you somewhere, and
okay.
have this cooperation also
have
in the future.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marko kuulab.